Well, hopefully it's recording because I've just clicked the button. So we're going to find out one way or another in like an hour or two.
Yeah, so I got really hard for nothing.
I know we were just talking about that. If how to get from very soft to very hard quickly. Of course, referring to packing snow into snowballs in winter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what else could you refer to?
I don't think anything else would really start soft and get hard, right?
Nah.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind. So, obviously, based on what's on screen right now, I have a topic for today's Grimdark therapy called the 7 types of gamer. Now, this is one that I sort of threw out to you guys last minute because my original topic was going to be is it time to move away from printed Warhammer media? Essentially, like codexes, that kind of thing. I think is it time for them to die? Is a good topic. But I decided to go with this instead because it was something I found about a week ago. And in 2012, Sid Meier, who people would know at the Civilization games on PC, he did a talk about there are 7 different types of gamer, in his opinion, and what they are and how they have shaped the development of their games and the rebalancing of their games during the modding process. And I thought that's very interesting because let's see how this translates over to Warhammer, because I think it translates over quite well. Now, I will give a disclaimer at the start here. He has interesting names for each of these that may or may not offend people. If it does offend you, I don't give a shit. We're going to keep going anyway. So, with that in mind, we're going to look at them, see if we can talk about the types of players that resemble these 7 different types, and then also see which ones we might fit into. How does that sound for our topic?
I think that's a good one. Yeah, it's did not expect this. I think it'll be entertaining.
So if you are offended by 2012 terms for gaming, you probably shouldn't be watching Grimdark Therapy, just saying, because we're like, how many episodes are we in now? Jesus, like...
What, 15, 18?
It's fair point.
It's fair whack a lot, right? So, I'm also going to send these slides over one by one to our Discord chat so you guys can see them as I go, so you know what I'm displaying. So, the very first cab off the rank is going to be Mr. Kickbutt. So, Mr. Kickbutt is the classic WAAC gamer. This is the win at all costs. The only thing that matters to this person is winning the game. I think it's safe to say that this type might exist in Warhammer.
Might? I don't know. I think you'd be a bit more. Perhaps I think we can guarantee that it might exist in any game system with a win condition, really, right? I mean,
I think without... I know we're only one slide in, but I think this might be like a lot of wargamers might fall into this bracket. Especially if you're like the tournament going type, that's the aim of the game, right? From what I understand now.
So, how does this influence the development cycle of the game is sort of the question here, because we obviously know that win at all cost players exist, and they exist in literally every game ever invented. There's got to be someone who just must win. They just have to. They make it their entire personality. But how does that affect the game, do we think? And I think it's a great case study right here, because Warhammer, in my opinion, has been greatly and negatively impacted by it.
I think that's true. I think it's true.
Yeah, I struggle to disagree with it. It's like the key here is win at all costs, right? These types of players would. Whoops, that's my bad. These types of players would clearly draw the line to the developers of gaps and areas where, I guess in this case, points need to be adjusted for things. Which things are too undercosted? Which levers are too easy to pull?
I think looking at especially 40k, the people who seem to be designing the game seem to be designing it around appealing to this demographic. in that they sell you power when they sell you product. So buy this army will win you games.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the things that this YouTuber by the name of Rogue Hobbies. If you're a simp, then you're about to catch shade. Sorry, but like it's run by a young lady who used to work for Games Workshop, and she had an opinion. She was doing like the conspiracy theories of GW the other day, and she said, you know, do they make models do they make models more powerful just to sell them off the shelves? And she said, no, of course they don't, but didn't really have an answer as to why they don't. And yeah, it's those kind of opinions where I'm like, okay, so they do. So they do.
They definitely do.
You know,
Hold on. Hold
Yeah,
on.
like, you know,
it might not be every new release or every new model, but it's pretty
no, not
blatant.
everyone, yeah. But that's what they'll say. They say, oh, well, look at this model. Dude, you picked up one of like, what, 300? Like, yeah, we know. That one isn't that. We know the scouts aren't selling and they're not very powerful. Okay, cool. Moving on to the next 80 that they've done this with.
I saw that video pop up and I didn't watch it. I'm trying to make myself immune to clickbait. I don't always succeed. And it was like, oh, you know, Games Workshop conspiracy theories. I thought, well, how the fuck can you, of all people, disprove them? I said, I can't even disprove them. And I've spoken to, you know, a lot of people who've worked in the company in the past. And,
Yeah.
you know, I've worked in production management and that sort of thing. And I go, if my knowledge comes up short, what's the chances some random chick on YouTube has them? I mean, yeah, that could just be my prejudices, but
well, she used to work for them in Lenton in Nottingham, so she does have an educated view on it. But the thing is that, you know, there's no smoke without fire, and really with the Games Workshop rumors and things like that, only the more extreme ones, more silly ones, are the ones that are just like made up by players because it's funny, right? You know, but most of the time, there's no smoke without fire. There's something there. But stuff like
Oh, sorry, North. It's just to add to your point here, or to the slides point. It's like you just have to look at even the broader competitive influencer space. Like everything's framed around meta and performance.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's inarguable that Games Workshop sells power.
Have you guys seen the name doesn't come to mind of who does it, although there's quite a few that do. The people who literally have Patreon and thing like that set up so you can take a masterclass in how to play Warhammer from them to win games. And they'll write you a list and they'll tell you what to buy and all that sort of thing. Like, it's become its own sub-industry.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, there's like coaching. There, like that would be the term, right? You know, it's they have clients, and you can.
To me, it's really weird. But I guess it's got a market, right?
I understand, and I don't like what it does to the broader culture of the game. As weird as that, I don't know how else to term it. But yeah, it's the byproduct of shifting to a more competitive esportsy framing of the game, right? We just had world championships, right? Like we keep those things in mind. It's
save some pussy for the rest of us, boys.
You're gonna have these pro players, right? And in fairness, you know, I have my grievances with the game system, as it were, right? But they are good at the game system that is the official rule set, and so you have wisdom that can be gleaned from that. If you want to play this game system to the best of your abilities, there are people who you can go to.
No, I think you said it before. Like any game like this will have a Mr. Kick butt. There's no getting away from that. Even as a hobby, I write RPGs. Like whenever I beta test some of these with friends or family or whatever, or just let people play them, there's always one. Even in a cooperative game, there's always one who has to break the rules, who has to, when I say break the rules, I mean bend them to his will, to the point that it's like, you know, I am now unkillable death machine because I've seen this thing in the rules and technically I can do it, so I'm going to do it. You know, who have to win.
The players, like, I don't know, to use an example, like in Diablo, like you play a game like Diablo, and there's types of players who just like to play the adventure, and the types of players who want to find the build, right? The combination of, I want to pair this stat with this armor, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
I find that exhausting even to listen to. Yeah, I in these online games, you always get these. What's your build, dude? Fuck off, will you? Like, my build is I have a cup of coffee whilst my shit is brewing in my colon. I play this game.
Yeah,
that's my build.
My build is my barbarian likes to jump and shout. I don't know what to tell you.
I like to have fun. That's my build. All right, let's just carry on. Or do you know that phrase? I hated this. We'd get it. Anybody who's working in a hobby store, what are you running? What?
Yeah.
What army are you running?
Come on, nobody in this hobby runs.
Nobody in this hobby runs. Have you seen me? Like, dude, like, since I've worked in this hobby, I've been put on 3 stone. What's wrong with you? You know, or 50 pounds for you American people out there. So yeah, like it's just, it seeps. The thing I have about Mr. Kickbutt is it's like ink on parchment. It doesn't stay in its place. It seeps outwards and spreads, you know, and gets into other things that it shouldn't be. It starts sticking its fingers into mechanisms that it shouldn't. That's the problem with a play like this, in my opinion.
Before I move to the next slide, I just had that funny thought, like when you said, well, you know, what are you running? I made my terrible joke, and it just like a Leslie Nielsen movie, like, you know, like a blind man at an orgy. I had to feel my way around. Like a midget at the urinals. I was going to have to stay on my toes. All right, so the next one is Mr. Genre. So, Mr. Genre is a person who wants to maintain the purity of the game. Now, the downside of this is it may lead to stagnation because they can often be the one who's most against change. And when I was looking at these, I went, I kind of fit into that category in that I want to maintain purity, but I'm fine with change. I just want my change to fit into that universe as established. You know, it's if I was watching Star Wars and then a Star Trek ship suddenly appeared on screen, I'd be like, what the hell? You know, or if Luke became some disheveled hobo living on an island, I'd be like, what the hell? And, you know, but I don't mind change. I just don't like it when the change, you know, just seems to just fall out of the sky because they feel like changing it. Probably because they want to drive sales and they don't care about the integrity of the game system.
Do you not think people get miscast as Mr. Genre?
I think they do.
So, like, let's say, you know...
It's an easy counter-argument, isn't it?
Why are female custodies here? Well, you obviously don't want any change. No, I definitely do. Like, I've known people who really like the Primora Space Marines, but they're just like, yeah, female custodies are stupid. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you know. So, and I would say that the Primaris are the bigger change of those two things, and they're fine with it. Yeah, it's cool. Better looking Marines, in my opinion. Yeah, cool. Bring them on, you know? And then you get, yeah, but you just brought this in and you treated us like shit about it. So, no, I don't accept that, you know? One thing people on the internet love to do is ignore the fact that two things can be true about the same thing at the same time. Two opposite things can also be true of the same thing. And this is one of those times. It literally, both things are true. Like, you can like Primara Space Marines, adore change, and still not like some change that they're bringing in, right? I'm a Grey Knight player. I hate 99% of what Games Workshop do with my faction right now. In fact, I'd rather you just ignored us and left us alone, but there we go. So yeah, I think you can get miscast as Mr. Genre rather than being an actual Mr. Genre, although they do exist. I come across them in YouTube comments all the time. You know when you come up with a really mild opinion on something that might change in 40k, you're like, oh yeah, cool. Maybe we can have, you know, an army of I don't know, like the Interrex, whatever. Maybe they should bring out Interrex or something like that, or something should come back. They're like, no, God, no, and they'll treat it like you've just gone in and shot their dog and then like thrown it on the lawn and walk out of their house. It's like, dude, like, no, chill. Like, it's just
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely an appeal to the Mr. Genre type. Like, I think, as Mako was kind of hinting towards, I think between the two so far, all three of us probably exemplify this more than the Mr. Kickbutt archetype.
There are several more archetypes still to go, so
That's true. That's true. Keep it
Um,
interesting for the audience.
I will say though, like, do we think that this really affects the game, especially Games Workshop, developmentally? Because I don't think it does. I don't think they care. I don't think
they
they're
don't
taking
seem to be
purity
catering
into
to the
account.
Mr. Genres, right?
No, I think, unlike Mr. Kickbutt, who they're definitely catering towards, Mr. Genre, I think they just could not give a toss. They're like, yes, we have a universe. Yes, it exists, but it exists to monetize.
Yes, well, you know what? They do cater to Mr. Genre insofar as the nostalgia key jangles, right?
Ooh,
The surface level kind of, remember this? Remember how it used to be?
Remember
It's just like it used to be.
Didn't you like
Remember
Saturnine?
Screamer Killers?
Hey, kids that never
remember
played Rogue
Saturnines?
Trader, here's some old Rogue Trader miniatures. They're back. And now they're gigantic and have 72 parts each. All right, the next one is one we should all be pretty familiar with, and that is Mr. Min-Max. And I say that way weird names, so there is a Miss in here, but most of these are Misters. I don't know why. It's just maybe he was writing a little Mister book or something. But Mr. Min-Max, this is the one who wants to understand the underlying game mechanics and intends to exploit them for their amusement.
So is this like compared to Mr. Kickbutt, is this sort of like an Agent of Chaos type of character?
Yeah, definitely more like chaotic neutral, because they might not be intending to win the game, they just want to do really amusing shit. So
they want to fill their transports with cultists. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they want to. So example, I've done it myself. 2.0 Horus Heresy said you could take a Fury of the Ancients list, and the Dreadnought becomes a character who leads the army. That Dreadnought has Contemptor Power Fists. So their Gravis Power Fists are under the category of power weapons. And many legions say that if you have a power weapon, you can exchange it for a legion-specific weapon. So I then took a Dreadnought and exchanged it for a Phoenix Spear. Because technically, the Power Fists were under the subtype of power weapon. Yeah, it's absolutely stupid, and it was a downgrade in terms of actual performance of the unit on the tabletop. But I did exploit the underlying game mechanics. Another one is the Storm Durkin, where the auxiliary vehicle bay on the Stormbird says that you can put any vehicle of not more than 4 hull points inside it. And there was no other exemptions to that, no other qualifying statements. Literally, that's all it said. So then I thought, what if I put a Storm Eagle inside it? Because it's a vehicle. Doesn't matter that it's a flyer, it's a vehicle. And it's got 4 hull points or less. And then, what if I fill that Storm Eagle full of other units? So then I can have a unit inside of a unit inside of a unit. It's absolutely stupid. And you need like thousands of points on the tabletop in this gigantic Lord of War. But I think it's pretty hilarious. So I have fallen into the Mr. Min-Max trap myself just because of the bad rules writing that goes on in the game system.
Yeah, no, that's those are great examples. So stupid.
So stupid, and they never like clarify them or clean them up. So
yeah, I mean, as for go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, do we think they cater to this type of player at all?
They certainly react to these types of players because they will, depending on the game system, I guess that's the big caveat, they will FAQ or update these issues, right? These embarrassing, we just could never have perceived of this, right? There's a lot of that in their update preferences.
Yeah, I think
found by the Mr. Min-Max types.
I think I'm on the opposite side of this. Weirdly, there's a YouTuber by the name of Spiffing Brit, and he's a really nice, sounds like a really nice guy, but I can't stand his fucking videos or his content. I wish he'd go away. Because every single game he gets, like, he has to break and mold, and every single time they invite him onto sort of a streamer showcase of like a game, he'll break the game and cheat to just win it. Go, well, and he'll be like, oh, well, the game says I can, so it's not technically cheat. And he'll make everybody around him angry and get off on it. That kind of a dude. These are the kind of attitudes that are, frankly, very autistic, and will be showcased by dudes who are this way inclined. And 40k is another game that does that. I'm not really respective of the behavior unless you're doing it to absolutely, you're at a tournament, you're in the last four or whatever it is. Yeah, no problem. But the amount of, I would say a good 80% of the hobby nightmares I get are a Mr. Min-Max coming up against a normal 40k player and just literally ruining the game for everybody, Just because the rules say you can do that doesn't mean you should, which is one of the things. That was literally in the first 3 rule books of 40k. Like, what was a line saying, we know we've missed stuff, please don't exploit this game to be a dick. Like, we know we don't have all the time in the world. We wrote this over 3 years. Please, we are mere mortals. Please don't break our game. Don't be an arsehole, basically. The don't be an arsehole rule exists because of these dudes.
I think
literally these dudes. The choice to interpret rules as written rather than as intended, right?
It just makes me tired thinking of it. I'm like, oh god, no.
It's when Mr. Kickbutt and Mr. Min-Max have like a Dragon Ball Z fusion, and the two become one. Where you have win at all costs Min-Max guy. That's when it becomes fucking miserable.
Yeah, it's too powerful, man. You can't deal with it.
Also known as 5th edition Grey Knights players and 6th edition Necron players.
Yeah, and
actually 6th edition Tau, Eldar, or Taudar. I will accept any combination of those. I'll take what is Taudar for 500, Alex, because they were all brutal armies, which people have probably forgotten. But you can go back and look at like old mini wargaming bat reps and stuff from that time period, and just see what happens when Farseers are giving Riptides foresight. And enjoy that. It's fucking literally, if you could catch cancer from watching a YouTube video, that would probably do it. So anyway, next one is Miss Paranoid. So finally we have a girl on the board. Miss Paranoid actively
and it's about paranoia. Say it ain't so.
I know.
Go on.
Actively assumes that the system is rigged against them, but without taking the time to understand the mechanics that led to the situation. So they're kind of almost, in part, an inverse of the min-max player who's trying to work out the mechanics and abuse them. Ms. Paranoid is just cracking the poos because they can't win because they refuse to take the time to understand the system. That makes sense?
Dude, I'm feeling a little called out. I'm not gonna lie. Feeling a little targeted here. I'm very much a guy who will say, like, I will take one look at a massive deep rule set and I'll go, I'm not reading this. And I'll be like, yeah, I've got shit I need to mark. I've got shit I need to grade. I'm not reading this. And then I'll play the game and lose and be like, well, this sucks. This is terrible. Why did anyone design a game this way? Because somebody who did read the rules and understands them, kicks my ass. But then you have the negative thing in your head saying, well, they don't have a job, that's why. It's like, well, no, sometimes they're just better at the game than you, that kind of a thing. A bit of a copium there.
There's another slide coming up, actually, which ties into this as well, which I'll be interested to get your take on. I think this is me to a surprising extent, because it's not that I don't understand the mechanics, it's that I don't like the mechanics. I look at it and I go, okay, I can make this army win, but to do so, I start falling into the Mr. Min-Max category, where I don't want to run my army that way. And it's like, well, can I really complain that I'm getting my ass kicked? Yes, I can. They made a bad game.
It's not quite Miss Paranoid.
Yeah, I played Chaos since the mid-90s. I've been playing Chaos Space Marines. No one can doubt that from basically everything since 3.5 through to now has been varying degrees of trash. It's just picked up probably in like 9th edition onwards, I'd say, for Chaos. And even then, not for all Chaos and not equally. So you could win games with them, but you had to abuse some of the game mechanics, min-max it. You know, you couldn't just go, oh, well, here's the army as presented in its own codex or in White Dwarf magazine. You know, I'll take, 2 squads of 1,000 Suns with bolt guns, 1 unit of Scarab Occult Terminators, 2 units of Zangors, and I'll win games. No, you won't. No, you won't. Not against people who know what they're doing.
So you're a miss paranoid out of sheer fucking stubbornness rather than being an actual miss paranoid.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, because I understand the mechanics. I think
Yeah,
most
that's the
people
key
that fall into
distinction.
it don't. Most people who fall into this trap don't understand them.
Like, you can feel like the system is rigged against you insofar as, like, you don't want to engage with, like, having to take the competitive choices. Like, I need to take 2 units of scouts for my action monkeys. That's how my lists always start. Like, if you're opposed to building lists from the competitive mindset, and if you're playing 10th edition, then you might feel, in a way, like the Miss Pyramid archetype. But I wonder if this type of player in 40k is more emblematic of the individual who's doesn't take a deep grasp of, looking at the units and composition and choices made and blames their dice, for example. I wonder if that's more how that.
I'm not sure, no, because it's not the game mechanics. They're blaming dice. They're blaming something ethereal rather than the actual game itself. So you can totally understand the rules of a game, and then you get bad dice rolls and you blame the dice and you want to turn the table over. Like, it's not your fault; it's the dice fault. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So yeah,
you know who it is.
The thing I'm
actually
not saying is, go ahead.
This person is being directly appealed to, and I think this is actually one of the biggest demographics that's being appealed to. Because look how much dumber they're making the rules over the years. I think they're trying to fix this particular problem. In particular, actually, in people don't understand the mechanics of the game system. So they just keep removing and simplifying them. Edition after edition after edition, they've been doing that to try and make it as broad as possible to capture the widest audience, throw that really wide net. Is that me being paranoid, or?
I see how this is a point you guys have mentioned before, and I think it might be one of the few points that I don't totally agree with you guys on. I do in part, but I really do feel GW isn't trying to cater to. I think it's the guise of simplicity. Like, they'll make these changes under the guise of, we're making it simpler for newer players. But I think they're really making it simpler for them to manage. I think they've become vastly more successful making this esports, and I don't think they enjoy having to do the responsibility that requires, right? Because in theory, it's a very serious game system. It does require more upkeep, more regular updates. And I think they hate that they have to pay that tax, even though that's what's working for them. So, like, when I see these changes for simplicity, the removing of war gear and having to manage all those points, the removing of sub-factions and having to just play whatever detachment you want so they don't have to feel like the players are owed, right? Word Bearers players aren't as owed in this paradigm when there's not really a Word Bearers detachment, technically. You just play whichever one is best, right? I don't know. That's my bias, right? Affecting that perception.
I can't say you're wrong.
I think both are probably true, right?
I'll have to make a video. I'll have to make a video about Kaifa's conspiracy theories and call you out.
Maybe. Go for it, please. Free me, enlighten me from this curse.
Yeah, all right. So, moving on from Ms. Paranoid, next one up is Mr. History, which is one I've also fallen into the trap of. So, this is a person who scrutinizes the accuracy of the lore, the in-universe history, and I would say similar to the Mr. Genre, in that it can be to the detriment of the narrative going forward. Because they say, well, why are you changing this, this, and this? And obviously for games like Civilization, this is a huge deal. In a fictional universe like 40K, not as much of a deal.
Well,
I've seen these dudes. We've seen these dudes around. Like, this isn't something that's not 40K. This is totally. In fact, I'd say this is a more 40K problem than Civilization problem, like, and gamer problem. Like, this is 40K in a nutshell right here.
I definitely fall into this category. And again, not because I don't want there to be change in the narrative. It's just make it a good change. Make it make sense in the universe. Don't just pull a Terminus decree out of your butt and just go, well, here it is. Here it is. Like, make of it what you will. Well, and how they're going to achieve that? Don't know, don't care. We've just made it a thing now. Enjoy. Like, you're like, oh God, what are you doing? I think that one probably hits close to home for one other person, at least in this call.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would say Miss Paranoid and Mr. History are the two ones that have hit closest home for me so far. In terms of being different to Macarin, my Miss Paranoid is not based in logic; it's based in feelings, and my Mr. History is literally, again, it's kind of a selfish way to look at the game because you are okay with change, just to I like. If it's not the change that I like, then you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't be doing it.
That's the effective position I feel all three of us will have with most of our criticisms around, things like female custodians. That's like the obvious point you could direct this to. But yeah, I mean, if it's positioned well and it makes sense and it feels set up and justifiable, then it's hard to, if I can't make a good argument against something, or an argument I feel is solid, then I can't have those grievances.
How's this then, Kaifa? I'll throw a wild argument out.
Yeah.
Necrons, pre-5th edition versus post-5th edition. Because that's one that's one that's really hard to argue, because both sides have really, really valid points, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you love Necrons as the absolutely stoic, programmed killers attempting to rid the entire galaxy of life that they detest, and it's just reminiscent of 1984's Terminator, then you fall into the camp I do, which is old Necrons superior. But if you are, and your Star Gods are actually Star Gods. Or if you're in the vein of, hey, Necrons actually have a goal in having their dynasties as being space Egyptians, and there's actually rivalries between different Necron, households, for want of a better name, then you fall into the other camp. And both sides have, I think, very good ideas.
So there's an appeal to both.
So what happens in that situation, someone's going to be displeased. I think people have pretty much settled on it's fine. There was a lot of grumbles at the time, but nobody really cared, right?
The backlash probably wasn't as loud as something more recent, like with Primaris.
Yeah, so
those types of lore changes, right?
So then how do you pull off that where it's like both sides have valid opinions, but they can tolerate it, versus, Primaris Marines, which are worse because they're badly implemented, even if the models are fine. Or which I think that's pretty objective. I don't think it's subjective that they're badly implemented. The whole Belisarius call just makes it all happen, and it happens in the universe terms in the blink of an eye. Is bad implementation.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The execution is poor objectively.
Yeah, and then you have the next level down from there, which is the implementation of the female custodes. There always have been, there always will be. Like that one. I
this
think
way
is
all
just
along.
the only people who are supporting that. Yeah, I don't want to
Or like
get into that.
ideologues. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think they're putting external to the hobby ideas forward.
I think so too.
What is actually probably healthiest for the hobby. Because you say, well, what does having female custodes actually add to the custodes as a faction? Do they reproduce? No. So do they add femininity to the army? No. Do they look different physically? No. Then so what do they? What do they bring? Like, there's no narrative pull.
Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you have the Necrons, where it's like most people aren't too perturbed by it.
No, because there's a narrative pull, isn't there?
Get upset. Yeah,
I think that's the big difference.
I guess in that case, it's perhaps because there's enough good that's being gained to outweigh the potential loss. Is it that the trade-off feels a bit more worthwhile? I don't know. Like, was that trade-off couched in a nice range refresh at the time?
Not for custodes.
I don't know. For no, for Necrons, I mean.
Custodes.
I should have specified.
Side topic. Custodes are a faction. I think they got wrong, looks wise. I think they botched it from
Yeah.
I think the Aquilon Terminators in 30k and the Custodes with like the cloaks or tabards in 40k are the only two kits. Yeah, they're pretty much the only two kits they got right. All the regular guys having like, because all the artwork was them in like the long red cloaks, like they looked very Praetorian Guard, ancient Rome, and getting rid of that, just have them be Space Marines without backpacks, with the terrible weapon proportions. Like, I'm just going to turn this part of the video into a rant on how bad a job they did with Custodes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, they botched that product line from the get-go. And Custodes are a hard one to do as an army. Like, I saw your guys' video on the Grey Knights. Same problem, right? These are factions that are so powerful, they don't work well as armies.
Yeah. They work well as a thing in the setting. It's so cool. Like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
But I was saying yesterday,
in a amalgamized force, right?
Not even that. Like if you have like a Lucifer Blacks army, and then you have 3 Custodian Guard, single models, 3 dudes, then that's it. That's all you should get. Like it's.
They should just fuck. Right, those 3 models should slap.
They're like adding Legion of the Damned to a regular Marine force. Like, it's a one-off unit, but it's a massive force multiplier having them.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking like a Custody should have 24-inch movement, like that kind of shit. It should be like ridiculous,
They can activate to fight twice, that kind of shit. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep, they're just a blur on the battlefield. They're just mulch things. They're basically, imagine having loads of Imperial Guard conscripts and then 3 human-sized Imperial Knights. That's basically what I'd do with the Custodes. That's what they'd be. That's ridiculous.
And that's why, like, one of the interesting things in the Horus Heresy is, yes, the Custodes definitely go out and fight as an army against the forces of chaos, especially during the Siege of Terra. But Perturabo had a really good solution to that, which was just cool. Let's just shoot them at a distance. Like, drop artillery on them until they stop twitching. Like, done. You know? Make them jump into the air and spread themselves over a wide area as a pink mist was his solution. And but that doesn't, narratively, that's fine. It doesn't work on the tabletop. So, I just think they botched them from the get-go. So, a little bit of my Mr. History moment. But Mr. History, as a player appealed to by Games Workshop, I don't think he exists beyond them bringing back shit from the past as nostalgia bait. Again.
Yeah. And I think the players definitely exist. Like the dudes actually playing in the game like this and who feel this way definitely exist. I think the 2 we've just covered, Mr. Power and Mr. History, will cover about 90% of the people in the hobby, who actually care about the lore and the accuracy and things like that. But again, Mr. History is taking it to the extreme, of course, but I think everyone will recognise something of themselves in the last two ones we've covered, definitely.
Speaking of that, we've got the next two, and then there's a bonus one. So, very next one we have is Mr. Bubble Boy. So, this is a person who lets a negative experience, as little as one, define their entire experience of the game or franchise, and just goes on about that one thing.
It's Hobby Nightmares.
A little bit.
We made it, boys. We're in. We're here. Look, it's you. Yeah, like that's the neat part. You don't, that kind of.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah.
This is definitely an archetype that I think at one point I was definitely exemplifying. So early on, especially when you don't understand, there's probably like Venn diagrams to all of these, right, of overlaps. But
when Mr. Paranoid and Mr. Bubble Boy, they definitely overlap.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case for those two.
I sit here and just 10 minutes ago I said when I was getting my ass kicked by 5th edition Grey Knights and 6th edition Necrons, that's that experience. But that was the repeated. Every time I go against this army, it's a negative experience. It's like a trauma, the hobby equivalent of trauma. Just, every time I'm going to play that army, I know I'm going to have a bad game. And you just get to the point where you're like, I don't want to play that army.
Yeah, so if it's repeatable, then it's not the one negative experience that's coloring and traumatizing your view forever, right? So it's a bit more substantive than the Mr. Bubbled Boy, exactly.
It does become a problem, though, when people hold it against a faction going forward. So I think Grey Knights are guilty of this, as in they had a really powerful codex in 5th edition, and people just haven't forgotten it.
You see this with certain units in various armies.
Yeah, Chaos Space Marines.
Eldar have had this several times, and because they've had it several times, it's become a meme, so they're lovable for it, whereas Grey Knights had one really powerful codex, and it was all of a sudden pitchforks,
Well, Chaos Space Marines, 3.5. Everyone forgets how bullshit OP the other codexes of that time period were. They just remember Chaos Space Marines because they were the first, so until the next one came along, everyone was getting their butt kicked by Chaos. They forget what 4th edition Space Marines, 4th edition Orcs, 4th edition Eldar, 4th edition Tyranids all played like. Spoilers, they were really fucking OP because that was the time when everyone was OP because the war gear was prevalent. That was where we had excellent Grey Knights, we had the Witch Hunters, Codex Witch Hunters, Sister Battle, and Inquisition stuff. That was when your Tyranids, had all the bioevolutions. Like every unit had access to bioevolutions, and it was
such a good time.
It was a fucking amazing time. Yeah, for Circle Edition for Xenos races, I'm definitely bringing that back. I'm gonna have Tyranids in all but name.
Nice
as one of the factions for the Great Crusade games. But yeah, but people always pick on the fucking 3.5 was so OP. Yeah, because it came out when everyone else is still on their 3rd edition codex. Of course it was OP. It was, the first one that took full advantage of the next edition of rules. That's why it was 3.5. It was the first of the 4th edition books. But it came in 3rd edition. And they never forgot it.
I do think a lot of this feeling of Mr. Bubble Boy, sort of a feeling, will probably come from the amount of time it takes to actually sink into a game of 40k, right? So if they've only got time to play one game a week, and then that one game they get smashed by a guy who is a bit of a prick about it as well, that's going to stick with them because they don't have any other frame of reference. And if you've only got so much free time in your hobby for a week, and it's ruined by somebody else, I'm going to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't play that game again either. I'd probably be like, this Magic the Gathering is for fucktards, and I'm not playing it again because this guy smelt. He brought a really OP thing. He was rude to me the entire game, and fuck this game. Like I've only got I've got 3 hours of hobby time a week. I'm not wasting it on this.
I think that is perhaps more accurate of an exemplification of the Bubble Boy archetype here. I think what Maka was outlining is it's something different, right? 'Cause it's like the shared consensus of like negative association with rules at the time. That's something different than Mr. Bubble Boy, where it is the one negative experience is, I think, key to this. It's interesting. Yeah, sorry, it's interesting.
No, that's right.
It's more me trying to cut them some slack, really.
So
maybe
Mr. Bubble Boy is another player type that I don't think Games Workshop tries to appeal to at all.
No,
I don't think they care if you have a negative experience.
They don't. They don't care. It's just so much easier to do the power selling, right?
Yeah, and what it's not like you're going to leave a negative review for them. And what are you going to do? Go in their store, go up to manager and go, your game sucks, and then go and buy a White Dwarf magazine?
Yes.
Like, what the hell are you going to do?
Yes. No, that literally happens. That happens, man. Like, they will come in and go, this sucks, this hobby sucks, you suck, can I have the latest White Dwarf, please? Yeah, there you go. All right, and by the way, your mum sucks as well, and they'll walk out. Like, that kind of... Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but it happened all the time. They'd come in with an attitude, with a fucking attitude. They'd look at you, they go, huh, what's it like working for the man? Huh, that kind of an attitude. Then they go and buy a massive box set and walk out. It's like, well, dude, what are you doing? I would say a good 25% of the customers I'd served had that attitude of, I fucking hate Games Workshop and I hate you. All right, dude, right, get your wallet out. Show me your money. I don't care. That kind of thing.
Like a bad gambler.
Yeah, literally. Or drug dealer would be more apt. I hate this. I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, show me your money. Never mind. Yeah, shut up. Show me your money.
All right.
The Stockholm Syndrome.
So,
there it is.
Gamer number 7. What do you reckon this one might be?
But already at number 7? Jesus.
I know.
Yeah, they're flying by.
Probably Cheetah. I'm gonna go with someone who bends the rules or cheats.
Yeah, because this is all from a designer's or point of view, right? All these types. They're it was for a game developer conference. You said, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there'd be things. I don't know, things that would be useful in like beta testing.
Maybe somebody who feels targeted by changes. So like literally like, I like this thing and you change it, so you're literally targeting only me and my hobby and what I enjoy rather than
That's a good guess.
Better.
That's a good guess. But no, it's Mr. Designer. So actually, Kiefer, you nearly hit it on the head. It's a person who tries to only give feedback based entirely on an idealized version of the game, which they've constructed in their own head.
Dude, I feel attacked. What's going on with this? What's going on with this one?
Well, you know who I actually think this applies to? More than players, I think it applies to the company.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Well, especially with the latest edition of Horus Heresy, you read the designer roundtables, and you can tell the game that they're constructing is completely different to like either what you're seeing or where it's come from.
Right. Okay. I'm with you.
So like in the Heresy roundtables, they're like, we added this mechanic, so we didn't have to do this thing. It's like, but that thing isn't a mechanic in the current game. Like your example makes no sense. What point are you arguing here? And of course, it's not like you can get on Warhammer Community and ask them, like, hey, you said this obvious dumb statement. It's like they come up with their own points to argue about why they make a change. I guess it's the best way to put that. And then you're like, but that wasn't a thing. You changed something that didn't need changing. Like, they're like, oh, people didn't like, the Force Organization chart. Nobody said that. If they did, it was a very small percentage of the community. They're like, no. So, we've now, aimed at this. And, challenges are a mechanic that were underutilized. So we've spent a lot of time working on that. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that, that optic play that they gain from it's like the veil of transparency and the inner workings of the design team. But then if you read those I don't know, transcripts. Is that how they're framed? Yeah. If you read like those dialogues that they're sharing publicly about how we've come to these decisions, it really feels like they're pandering to people who aren't looking at it from a designer lens or even a critical lens, like that you're illustrating with the Force Org example. It really feels like it's for normies to be like, see, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It definitely hits an intuition for me.
There are definitely players who fall into the Mr. Designer category who turn around and go, well, the game should play this way. And then they construct all of their criticism around that. But I want to give us both a little get out of jail free card here because we need it desperately at this point.
Well, I don't know. I feel
it's when the game seems to. I think for you and I in particular, Kaifa, because we do so much rules analysis, you don't do as much of it, North. So it does apply to you, but not as much. But we're looking at it going from the perspective, I think, of, well, this is the mechanic that I think you're trying to set up. You've definitely written all your statements, all of the narrative you write on the side of the page says this is what you're aiming for, but you missed the mark. Or you achieved it with all of these factions, like your Sisters of Battle video the other day, Kaifa. You're like, well, you hit your army rule. Works for this faction, it works for this faction, it works for this, but doesn't work for this faction, the Sisters of Battle. And when you say that, it's not so much that it's an idealized version of the game in our head. It's just we're going, well, look, this is the evidence you've presented of what you're clearly trying to do, but here's how I think you've missed the mark. Is that enough of a disclaimer? Did I get us out of trouble with the comments?
I think the people who want to hate, you'll get the hate regardless. So, but you know what? For the people who can have their position changed, yeah, I think so. I think that there is a distinction there because, you know, I don't advocate for changing the ones that I think they nailed, as you've kind of illustrated, right? And similar for yourself on various mechanics you feel were good in 2.0, right?
I think that there is an ascended version of Mr. Designer where you come up the other side and go, do you know what? I'll do it myself. I will literally be Mr. Designer and I will design Horus Heresy, Circle Edition or 40k Exile Edition or something like that. I'm sick of you not doing what I tell you to do, so I'm just going to do it. And if other people like it, great, that kind of a thing.
Well, we're sort of there now, aren't we? Both of us.
Yeah. It's a weird one, right? Because from the Sid Meier, like the lecturer point of view of these archetypes, right? Like the Mr. Designer player, depending on the quality of the feedback, it's valuable, right? But if it's meritless and it's just an idealized version that's nonsense, right?
That's the hardest thing.
Marines should reroll everything because they're awesome, right? If that's the idealized version, then this Mr. Designer's trash, right? But if it's substantive, if it's something that's useful, and maybe, you know, the Sid Meier Designer lecturer doesn't take that, you know, they don't copy and paste the suggestions and incorporate right away, but it can still be productive if it's substantive, because it is a substance, if the criticism is valid. I think that's the distinction.
Yeah, one particular nerve of mine that gets struck is when people come into the comment section and say, "Oh, you think you know better than professional games designers?" It's like, listen here, Bucko. I've been playing. I've been playing 40k for 3 fucking decades. Some of these designers are early mid-20s.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Like, they might have done a university course on design of a game, but, you know,
maybe. But
there's a difference between qualified and competence.
And we're assuming that, right? We actually don't know because there's no authorship, right? If there was authorship on the rules and who's writing them, then we could trace and kind of say, okay, like, look, they have credentials, they have all this history of past work, and then we can kind of settle, like, maybe I don't know more than this person, or maybe I do because they're just lacking in, they never played 40k before, they just have a degree in design.
Yeah.
right?
And then you've also got the problem though, Kaifa, because it's not track who's doing what. We know that there's different people working on different projects that all have to seamlessly merge together, and that tends to fail a lot in life, not just in games design, but there was a space probe that the European Space Agency sent to Mars decade or two ago now, and they bought a bunch of parts in the States. Of course, parts in the States aren't always manufactured in metric, are they? Because the Imperial system is prevalent. So they put a couple of mechanical components in, which were in microscopically different because they were Imperial. And the probe kind of didn't land where it should have, or at the speed it should have. We'll put it like that. Because different teams working together in different parts of the world try to put something together. And we see that all the time with codexes, or even within a rulebook and the first codex or two that come out for it. And they're just wild swings of like special rules and power levels where you're like, oh, this faction seems to have hardly any special rules. Holy crap, this one is loaded to the brim. Like, who wrote these things? You're like, it reads like two completely different people worked on these projects, and they probably did. And you're like, were these playtesting against each other? What was the balance they went for here? And, late in an edition, you get to the armies late in an edition. I know this is put that tinfoil hat on, but the whole they sell you power thing. I think there's very few times where you could take a end of life army and put it up against the first or second codex that came out that edition and go, yeah, these are equal. That almost never happens.
Yeah. I don't. I'm trying to formulate a counterpoint, but I think, for broadly speaking, yes, you are correct. I think, in modern 40k, with all these balance updates and these fucking meta charts that just, look, the game's never been balanced as good as it has before, right? I think there's less of that, but even just from a rules potency and a rules creep point of view, there is a disparity. Like, 40k players will know it, and Death Guard is like the outlier at the moment. And you compare that to like Tyranids at the start of the edition, right? And look, maybe on the back end of things, given a cycle or two of the competitive meta, the back end of the points updates will put things back into that 45-55 win rate that they want everything to function at. It's just artificially forcing these values. It's really cringe way to work things out, in my opinion. But even just from a rules creep point of view, yeah, dude, it's just the drought. The drought is real when you compare publications at the start and mid to late.
I really hate those graphs. You say,
dude, they trigger the shit.
Everything's so balanced, dude. Oh yeah, so you're telling me the game's shit? Like, what do you mean? Well, the game shouldn't be balanced, dude. Like, a really good war game, you find better players will play the worst factions because they're really good narrative, and you can get wins with them. Some of the best Warhammer Old World players were Bretonia players because their army was just trash. But they were just really good with it, and they could, you know what I mean? They could slice through you and things like that, and they could actually do things to you that are just so off the cuff, because it was almost like everyone was leaving feudalism behind and forgetting just how powerful a marked cavalry charge into your rear can do, that kind of thing. And those are the best players, at least in my clubs. They were the best ones. They were the most feared dudes with any army, were the guys who had Bretonia models. They were the
saying
worst,
that, North. You saying that, I got perfect example for you. Perfect example of that. It's a survivorship bias. It's everyone would know, probably being on the internet, that there is a game that exists called War Thunder. War Thunder and World of Tanks, which is another thing like this, and World of Warships, which is another thing like this. These multiplayer online, semi-realistic, arcadey. It really varies from fucking patch to patch with these games. But they're simulators, supposedly, of some kind for military games, driving tanks or ships or planes. And in these, they do tons of that balancing of spreadsheets. this tank is doing really, really well, therefore it's OP, let's nerf it. And it's like, well, hang on, it was a crap tank. But the very best players knew how to run that thing just right, and if they gamed their ass off and got the sweats on every match, they were excelling. But they just look at the stats and go, oh, it has a really high win rate. And it's like, yeah, because most people won't ever play the tank because they play a gun game, they go, oh, this is dog shit, and they don't play it again.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. And Games Workshop falls in that trap too when they go, oh, well, this army is winning too many tournaments. Like, yeah, but why? Like, look at the data. Why is it doing that? And it's so easy to misconstrue the situation and get it wrong in your solution.
It's so easy to misconstrue the situation when you've got a fan base like ours who sensationalizes everything, throws it into memes, will not stop bulldogging the same point even if it's not true, right? And these are just the law people. Never mind the rules people. Like these are the. Sorry if you feel attacked as a 40k fan, but some of y'all ruin this fucking game and not Games Workshop.
Oh yeah, because you'll have the Mr. Kickbutts who will see what those top performing choices are and only consider those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's trickle down consequences for the person who is using something adjacent, like not quite the competitive choice or not quite the competitive composition, and there's these fallout consequences from these changes too.
Well, here's the thing. Do you know why we're not getting any more Ivrain or any more Yanari? I honestly think this. Memes. Games Workshop see those memes of Ivrain sucking Gilliman's dick, and they go,
They don't want to feed that.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't feed that.
Oh, I kind of understand.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I'd rather have more Eldar stuff.
I agree, and Yanari was narratively more interesting to me than Primaris.
Yeah, they were, and now they're gone. And now they're gone because, and again, Games Workshop, it's their responsibility to make sure that they have, and I know, haha, but a quality product that advertisers want to be involved with and other people want to be involved with. If you won't stop making furry porn out of it, then they're going to drop it. And you ruined it, not Games Workshop. You did. Little cretins on Reddit, you ruined Inari, you ruined Ivrain, it's your fault they're not there anymore. Not Games Workshop's. They made the responsible business decision of going, yeah, we can't feed this as a company, as a mainstream company, we cannot feed this. Back in the 90s we could, but we can't now. You fucking did that. Because you just couldn't help yourselves. You feet-licking weirdos. You couldn't help yourselves.
You're probably right.
No, actually, you're not feet lickers because women won't let you near their fucking feet. You just think about it. You just think about it. That's what you do. Fuck. Honest to God. Honest to God.
Honestly, you've convinced me, North. I think that's probably why. Because I was thinking, initially I was cool character and a nice shakeup, and like I said, more interesting. There's more interesting consequences to come from Yanari than there are for Primaris. But yeah, I kind of figured that the pullback was around the competitive rules that are so busted every time for Yanari. I didn't consider the meme effect, the broader kind of
just very fucking cringe.
Degeneracy.
Very cringe.
It's a lot easier to fix the it's a lot easier to fix the rules than it is to fix an entire zeitgeist that's built up around memes and around
True.
And so they've just gone. Yeah, they've gone. Fuck it. It's less work for us to just not acknowledge them. So, it's like, cheers. Cheers.
There's probably like a sales component as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
probably.
Well, you never know how well they could have sold.
I'm inclined to think you're right.
You'll never know how well they could have sold if you never support it. So, which is a shame. So I think it's actually some of the more interesting stuff they've done.
Yeah, lore-wise, for sure. See, we like change.
We do. All right. Speaking of, there is one last slide. So that's the 7 different archetypes. So Mr. Kickbutt,
so this is the
Mr.
bonus?
Genre, Mr. Min-Max, Miss Paranoid, Mr. History, Mr. Bubble Boy, Mr. Designer. There is a bonus one. which I think was missed
Oh.
when it comes to your feedback and your design of your game system. Any guesses?
Mr.
Simp.
Never Happy.
The simp. I'm going to go with the one who gives positive feedback for everything and loves everything that gets birthed by the company. That's my guess.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go like, it doesn't matter what you change or how you change it, they're just never happy. They will always find. And if they're angry about A, then you fix A, they'll be angry about B, and then when you fix it back again, they'll be angry about A again. That's kind of...
Yeah, I could see both.
People call me that one. So, side topic. There's a YouTuber called Breakfast with Bando. He's been doing a lot of Horus Heresy content, and I've actually watched quite a few of his videos. He's put out a video every pretty much day or second day since Heresy 3.0's announcement, just covering the shitstorm and just this is shit type thing. How come his comments aren't swarming with people going, oh, you're only ever negative? I hardly see those comments. I put up one video a month on 3.0. I get fucking swarmed. Oh, what did I do? I really am the YouTuber equivalent of Vegemite at this point. No, so I think the forgotten loyal fan is the archetype.
Fair pick.
Which is the person who is just never asked what they actually currently like about the system. They're never asked, they're never respected. I felt this way with the Horus Heresy. I sit there and go, I love this game, here's the things that are wrong. And then developers go, cool, we've heard your feedback, here is a new edition of the game. We've changed all these other things. But I didn't hate those things. Why did you change them? Why did you change the movement values? Why did you change force org chart? Why did you add these damage values? And they're just like, we've changed the system. And then, same thing, Horus Heresy 2.0. I'm like, okay, look, I'm tolerating it, but I think you got these things wrong. Can you, keep
and
these
then it's,
things?
You're never happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how people treat me. I feel unfair. Yeah, I feel it's very unfair of people to do to me as well, because I'm like, but I like most of this, but this is my nitpick. These specific areas are what you need to fix. I can talk about all the positives all day long, right? But there's plenty of YouTubers who do that. But these are the points that are causing me grief. And then they go, cool, here is 3.0. Now we've changed all this shit. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's like if you had a problem with your house and you're like, yeah, roof's leaking. Someone comes over and they just smash your windows. Like, why'd you smash my fucking windows? The roof is leaking. And they're like, we've heard you. We understand. And then they come in and then they just light your couch on fire. And you're, what the fuck? You're like, fix the leaking roof. That's how I feel with Games Workshop's rules. Like, they never target the things that are the problem. And again, this could be just me casting a wide net here, but I feel like they're just really good at gaslighting people into thinking that the changes they make are good and are needed. And then it's only like after the end, 2 or 3 years into that edition, people are like, oh, this fucking sucks. And then when they release the next edition, everyone's like, yeah, no, we're glad you released this because that last one sucked. Look at all of the people looking back fondly with nostalgia upon 9th edition 40k now. At the end of 10th edition going, oh, yeah, there's hardly any, right? I think people look back on 8th edition with some kind of nostalgia because when it released, it was probably pretty balanced. But you don't see people with rose-tinted glasses looking at 9th edition 40k.
Weirdly, the indexes were balanced when the codexes came out. That's when it went away. I was
going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like very much a honeymoon period for 8th edition, right? It felt very nice. It felt very.
I think that's what I think about when I think of 8th edition. Yeah, I was like, this is so good. Like, this is so good. Like, all the armies are in one book. Oh my god, all the Imperium armies are here, and you can learn everybody else's armies because they're all in the same book, and everyone's having really balanced, really competitive games. And oh my god, it's almost like they hit on the formula they should be doing, and then they went, no, not enough money. Let's bring up the Imperial Guard Codex that blows everybody out, blows all these fucking indexes away.
I think there is a nostalgia for 9th by players in 10th, but only, it's very specific. It's only for the flavor of the rules that are lacking, right? Because 10th is devoid of flavor, largely speaking. It's a very uncontroversial statement, in my opinion. And that element of ninth, while ninth had insane potency of like attack power creep, like just retarded, like it was crazy. There was at least like, oh, you had your chapter masters, you had your chapter tactics, you had all your tools, you had your upgrades for all your factions. It was rules bloat, yes. There's a line to be drawn for tight competitive game system, which has very little rules, and a broader system. Will they figure that balance out? I don't know. But this archetype you have here, Mac, is very interesting to me. But I think, I will suggest, okay? I think in the case of GW, I don't think it's forgotten loyal fans. I think it's ignored, right? They don't want to remember, right? I think they know there are loyal fans, but because they want to reinvent the wheel, they can't appeal to the loyal fan. They have to basically kind of subvert and couch everything so that the loyal jumps on.
I couldn't disagree more, but not in a negative, not in a negative way.
Yeah,
just in my very last line says it's they're not respected. I think they just look at the loyal fan and just go, "Oh, you're a captured audience. I don't have to appeal to you, so I will change the game however I want." I look at it very nefariously.
Okay, yeah. So then, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I would like to think. Respected. I would like to think we're forgotten. That'd be nice if we were forgotten. But I am honestly on the other side of that. I think they see us.
Mm-hmm.
They just
don't want to.
Yeah, they don't respect us. They don't care about us. But we are captive audience, as Maka just said. You know, and you can't not hear it. And again, I can't sit here and say they changed their brain because of the memes, and then say they ignore us. They don't. They know we're here. They know everyone's here. They do watch. They do listen. That's why people get NDAs, right? They literally, they're on us. They're looking at us all the time. Because I've had emails from people at Games Workshop in Hobby Nightmares who watch my shit. You know, they're like, and look at the size of my channel. It's tiny. I've got people in Lenton, in Nottingham. Hello, by the way. This is Macca's channel. You probably watch him as well. You just you know, you're our captive audience. Ha ha! How the tables have turned. But like, they do watch. They are around, and like, they just ignore us. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They don't respect us. You know, I don't think they've forgotten us at all. I'm not that. There's too much evidence to the contrary that I've seen where they know we're here. Like I'm meant to be going to Warhammer World in a few weeks, and I've had an email from somebody who works there saying, yeah, if you come, maybe like a COVID mask or something, because like, you know, you worked here and like you're not very popular, so maybe. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I won't go then. But like, again, if I'm getting emails like that, they can't be ignoring us because I have a tiny channel. I'm an amoeba. No one cares about what to say. But you might get asked to leave if they know who you are. So you can't. I can't fathom that they've forgotten us. They don't. They haven't forgotten us. They just don't like us. that's the difference.
Yeah.
Maybe they like Cypher, but they don't like me. They don't like me and Maka, definitely. You know.
No, I get some who talk to me from within the company. The problem is when I have conversations with them, there's not a lot I can take from that conversation and put onto YouTube without risking exposing something about the person, which then risks them getting into trouble, even if it's just by association. Like, hey, you haven't said anything wrong, but you shouldn't be talking to that guy.
Same. The amount of friends I'd love to have on my channel and who've sent me lovely emails for me to read out, and I have to email them back, and I can't because they might know who you know what I mean. They might
exactly
get wind of who you are.
It's a small world, smaller than you realize. What's very interesting to me is some of the people I've spoken to over the years who are ex-staff and just the fantastic stories from behind the scenes. So, for example, one who commented on my video about heresy, like dividing the community. I had some clips of Alan Bly in there. He worked on those videos. I was telling me, you know, we're having a chat in just the chat on YouTube about it, just about what it was like producing the videos, and talking about, he was like, oh, Alan had all this passion for it. It was so wonderful. We thought our work was kind of forgotten. Thanks for like highlighting it, bringing it back up. It's like, oh well, it's lovely to hear. Great to hear like that they had such a positive experience making it. I spoke with the guy who basically did the first website for Games Workshop. That was an interesting conversation. So that happened over in the States, not in the UK. He was over in the United States branch of the company, and they said, this internet thing's taken off. What if instead of like the traditional mail order, we'll make an online catalog and web store? And they did it. And then the company didn't give them any money, any help towards achieving it. And once they got it, the company basically said, oh, that's not too bad, and just took it over. And then made it worse, because of course they did.
Of course.
And he's like more than like 25, 30 years on, he is like still, I won't say bitter about it, because that's definitely not the impression I got, but more just like, he's just like, oh, you inept fuckers. Like, you could have done so well in the market if you'd capitalized on it at the right time in the right way. But, you couldn't see the potential. And then once you started to see what the potential was, everyone who could have helped you, you pushed aside. Like, it was that genuine exasperation, I think I would say. That was a fantastic conversation there. Spoke with people who were in production. I learned a lot about Games Workshop's mold making behind the processes, and they're just like, holy shit, are there issues there? Because so many of the strings are being pulled by people who have no business, and it's obvious to me. I said it before I even spoke to them, because they basically came on and said, yeah, you bang on in your videos about what you guess is happening is what's happening. That management are basically pulling all the strings, and it's just fucking production sideways, because it's all being driven by spreadsheets. Marketing people looking at spreadsheets going, well, this is what you need to do next. And production is just, there's like steam coming out the machines. They're hitting every lever, they're like Scotty in the engine room on the Enterprise, trying to fucking, it's no good, sir, I can't keep the shields up. And it's so interesting, these conversations. But you can have those ones openly, people who were staff. But having it with people who are currently staff is a different story.
Yeah, it's too dicey.
Well, because then it's only so many people understand. Like, if they say, oh, yes, well, the design behind Model X, the company can go, only 15 people know about the design story behind X. That narrows it down. So, yeah, you got to...
And if that video trends to some capacity in a way that damages, it'll get traced back to them, and they'll suffer the consequences, for sure.
Yeah, so it's got to be... you got to be very... I don't think I've betrayed any sources yet. You can definitely glean information from them that might allow you to go somewhere else and get some more information that you can present. But yeah, you got to be very careful what you say.
No,
I'm with you. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good rule of thumb.
So
practices.
That's it. That takes us to the end of the 7 types plus 1 of gamers that they take feedback on. Do we think Sid Meier was onto something with this list?
I think he was. I think it's a bit... it's very wag finger at audience in terms of feel. But yeah, he was onto something. Like, I definitely recognise a lot of... not just in gaming. I don't think all of these apply to Civilization, by the way, because some of these definitely don't, like law stuff. It's like, well, what law do you have? Like Gandhi dropping nukes? Like, what? So, like, but in terms of wargaming, yeah, I think a lot of them do track.
If you're going to change... If you're going to change one... Sorry, Kaif. If you're going to change one, which one would you change?
Probably not Papa Boy, not designer.
I'm thinking Mr. Genre and Mr. History become one. And then I would look at adding my perpetually one-way leaning player. So your simp / never satisfied person would be the replacement.
Yeah.
I'd combine actually 3: Paranoid, Mr. Min-Max, and Mr. Kickbutt. I'd throw them all into one. Like that trifecta. It's like the dark triad of wargaming. You know, like I've come across that so many times. You know, the guy who like the game's always against me. It's ridiculous. But here's my really OP army that's going to knock you off the fucking battlefield.
Here's my all-infiltrating Kroot army.
Yeah, but I've just made my 100 orc boys invisible.
Now, what was it?
You know, don't you dare kill one.
Here's my outflanking White Scars bike army. You don't have Kroot, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That dude.
Kaifa?
Yeah, I was going to reiterate your point on if we consolidate some, if we can fit in the simp, like the all love or all negative, no matter what, because that's really the same type. It's just which way the wind's blowing, or which way their preferences skew. I guess is a better way to phrase that. Because I think that is definitely a type of player, always negative or always positive. You know, in our context, the GW can do no wrong. Right, so then their feedback is rendered worthless. The same way that if it's always negative, it's also equally worthless.
Yeah,
I think that's what these are trying to identify. Right, they're trying to identify players to use to aid in the development.
Yes, and like what are the signs maybe to look out for, and which direction do you lean towards the most? I think I guess for genre, for lore, for history. With Civ, maybe it's like the genre of that turn-based one more turn game until you get to the new Civ 7 and there's no one more turn. Like, oh, that must have rankled.
Yeah, because like most of these seem to be framed around the perception of, these are types of players who give feedback to point out errors in the design, right? The winner, like Mr. Kickbutt will point out that, hey, these mechanics are too easy to break, or there's too much synergy, or the numbers are a bit too skewed here, and then these types of players are going to expose that for you, right? But there's like the forgotten one, the forgotten loyal fan that you've added to the list. It's an important one because that's probably the one that you probably want to appeal to, that you don't want to forget. Right, that's your intention. Like that's your framing for this one, right? So I think it is.
You just need to do enough to keep them, unique. Right? Just enough to keep.
It's.
I think that's what
enough to keep them, but also it kind of like I wonder if it balances out the scales a little bit, right? Because you want to improve things and change them, and make it so Mr. Kickbutt doesn't abuse the system, but you also want the loyal fan to. Not to find themselves with a game system that was no longer what they bought into. Right? So there's definitely like a line that you have to kind of, or a thread.
Yeah, it's that line of you got to do just enough to keep them interested. And I think that's where they failed with Heresy 3. They didn't do enough to carry over enough mechanics from what existed already, and now they've relied on a Band-Aid patch in the form of massive 200-page PDF to try and add back a lot of what they took out. And it's like, well, if you always plan on doing this and it's so integral, why didn't you include it in the first place? But then that ties into that potential other topic of, print media and Games Workshop. This being the end, I guess, you're up next for an episode, North. Have you got the topic in mind?
I don't right now. I have a few things that I might want to touch on. We have had a big update in the Grey Knights lore, so I might have to do something adjacent to that. Not really about Grey Knights, but more about like the ever-changing themes in the lore going forward, what the hell's going on, and maybe where the lore could be going with the Grey Knights, because I honestly think right now we're kind of being set up as either the fall guy or the vector into a new age of 40k. Looking at the leaks that have come out, we're in trouble, because I think we're either going to be deleted or we're going to be used as the scapegoat of, oh, the Grey Knight went to try and wake up the Emperor, and now he's awake, and now everyone has peace and love, and those mean Grey Knights didn't win after all, that kind of a thing. So I think it'll be something to do with that. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to keep my powder dry on the whole thing and mix. I'm sick of doing videos on it, and I'm going to mix them all into one so we can cover it together. What the future of 40k lore is going to be, looking at the signs Games Workshop have given us, something along those lines.
All right. Well, you heard it
So,
here first,
4-hour
people.
episode
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That'll be good.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a deep topic.
thanks for joining me again, guys. Always love having you on.
no worries, man. Always a
Hell
pleasure.
yeah, dude. It's fun. This is a
And,
good topic.
Yeah, it's something different.
Uh-huh.
I've still got my little whinges in there, so I'm happy. Any last thoughts before we go, or should I just sign us off?
I'm good to go.
Yep. Let's wrap it up.
That's it. Screw you all. See you next time.